Yeah, so we're chapter 12, Holding Space for Love with Michael Rice. And this session is recorded and shared publicly to support others in these teachings. And I'm Yinka, and I run Hear My Voice Book Club, which is an inspirational self-development books. And we've got next. We've got children's meditation tomorrow at 7, and Joe Dispenza session at 8:30 a.m. and 8:30 p.m. on Sunday. And our 5 a.m. club restarts on the 1st of January. We're setting our attention for the year ahead. Next monthly book club is Louise Hay. The Power Within You is Within You. Dr. Joe's Marathon on the 6th of January at 6 a.m. till 6 a.m. Sunday. And 2 courses we've got in January starting, well, one in January and one in February. So we've got Louise Hay 21-day mirror work and Calling the One 10-week course. The Louise Hay one is full at the moment. I may have to put another session on for that because we've got way oversubscribed on that and a waiting list. And Hear My Voice Book Club runs non-profit events so everyone can take part regardless of financial status. Any donations will go supporting Michael in his teachings. So if anybody wants to support Michael after this, you can go to his site and share donations on there, or find all this information on his site as well. And we're just going to do some shoulder rolls, loosen our bodies up, ready for the session, waking ourselves up. Releasing any tension, draw up the shoulders all the way to the ears, nice deep breath in. And exhale as you bring the shoulders back and down. Nice deep breath in. Deep breath through the nose, exhale through the mouth. One more time, nice deep breath in. And exhale. And if you're willing and able, just to stand up, give your bodies a good shake out, get ready for Michael. Loosen up for the session. Needed that. So Michael Rice is the founder and director of Heartland Self-Healing Center. Michael lectures and teacher on health and healing and true meaning of true forgiveness. Michael is also married to the lovely Jeannie Rice, who helps run his sessions as well. And that will be on this weekend. I'll still point breathing. So if you want to introduce yourself, Michael.
Surely, I would love to introduce myself. I'm Michael.
Yeah. Would you like to share anything about yourself today?
Sure. This is this work that we're about to do and that we've been doing. I don't even remember exactly when our first session was. It's got to be over a year ago.
Yeah, definitely over a year.
Is birthed out of the first century Aramaic language, which interestingly, it is a language of physics and physiology, of psychology and genetics, but it's the root language of at least 5 of the world's major religions. Not because it's a religious language, would be my best understanding, but because there's truth in it. And one of the most interesting aspects of this Aramaic language is it's the only language that is not based in the minds of men, but rather is based in the physics of the world. If you look at the structure of the letters of the Aramaic alphabet, you'll find that they are actually 3D shadows of the periodic table of the elements. So kind of an interesting dynamic there. So it's actually based in the world of physiology, in the world of physics, and therefore reflects into physiology. And there are ideas in that language that just can't be spoken in the English language or any of the intermediate languages that came between the Aramaic and today's English, the Greek and the Latin languages. There are certain concepts, one that'll relate to what we're doing today, that just doesn't exist in our language. So that's what we're going to touch into, and delighted to have everybody here and ready to rock and roll.
Yes. Share the screen. So to remember throughout the session, holding your breath is exactly how you acquire a past about something and carry it with you. Holding your breath attaches the pain of an experience to a reality in your mind. So we will continue to remind you to just breathe. So remember to breathe with whatever triggers come up throughout the session.
In the ancient teachings, they said, the veil of the temple must be rent in twain. And people translated that as the purple curtain in the church needs to be torn in two. But actually, this body-mind unit is the temple. The veil is the barrier between the subconscious and the unconscious mind. You got to open that puppy if you're ever going to clean up what's gone on in your genetic history and the prompts that move you to behaviors that perhaps, maybe occasionally you found yourself doing behaviors that you didn't like about yourself. Where did that come from? Well, you will never know until you learn how to open the veil of your own temple. And interestingly enough, that veil of the temple is built by holding the breath. And it's opened by breathing. We actually do a process called still point breathing this weekend. Actually, we have a once a month Mind Shifters and Still Point Breathing Club that we do, and this weekend happens to be the weekend for it. So the breath is key. So we'll probably remind you several times throughout the next time period that we're together to breathe and just be aware when something in the world, maybe in our conversation today, resonates something that you haven't dealt with in your own life. Tendency might be close the breath down. We're just going to remind you to breathe, and that's what allows you to touch into and process through those hidden parts of your own mind, of your own genes. So that's what we're looking to do with this work.
I'm also looking forward to this weekend.
Yes.
I get to join both days.
Awesome.
So the previous chapter, Richard, a successful man in his late 30s, following the breakup of another marriage, had contacted Michael. Richard felt his life was a mess and was desperate and wanted Michael's help. Chapter 11, we looked at processing and going unconscious, how easy it is for us to flip-flop between clarity and old beliefs, the natural process of two beliefs fighting for your intention. We looked at how the more you practice these tools, how much easier it becomes to new thought structures when old patterns kick in. The practice with these tools is to hold space of love within yourself and live today's world from that perspective.
And when two beliefs are fighting, when a false belief meets an incoming true belief or true thought, when a thought disorder connects or tries to occupy the space in the mind, as opposed to what they call the physical world, they say that two objects can't occupy the same space at the same time, but two thoughts can attempt to occupy the same space in your mind. And if they're conflicting thoughts, that's what leads to confusion. And confusion is one of the steps in healing. So if you find yourself getting confused, breathe with it. And what tends to happen if you keep pouring in truth is the old corrupt database thoughts, thought disorders, just begin to dissolve. And that's what we're looking to do, is to empower, to support each person finding the empowerment and the strength within themselves to rid themselves of all thought disorders.
So chapter 12, holding a space for love. The best exercise I know to practice and strengthen your ability is to hold a space of love, to close your eyes and allow yourself to become quiet. With your awareness focused inside, think of that which inspires in you the clearest, strongest, most powerful love you are capable of feeling. So we'll just hold that space for a moment of, you might want to put your hand on your heart.
And breathe.
What if I feel nothing? Asked Richard. So do you remember a time when you looked at the way people around you lived their lives and asked yourself if things were supposed to work this way? And you can put this in the chat.
So do you have any recall of looking at the world, the hostility, the fear, the games that people played, and saying to yourself, this isn't the way it's supposed to work? Make some notes about what you remember knowing about the way it was supposed to work. And as you think about that, are you breathing?
I do remember a time when I was around 5, wondering,
What's your recall?
literally wondering if the way that these people, if these adults, are these really getting it right? Because it didn't feel what I could sense. It didn't match the senses of what I could sense. Like, is this really it?
Yeah, I can remember the first time it happened for me. I'm not sure. I might have been 5 or 6. And I can remember that we were out driving and there was somebody broken down on the side of the road. And I guess I was at the point where I could comprehend what that meant. And it just boggled my mind that my father just drove by them. It was like, it just didn't fit in my brain. So that was my first recall of knowing that things were supposed to be different than the way we were doing it.
May I share?
Yes.
Please.
Do you want me to turn on my camera or can I leave it off?
Sure.
You want to turn it on?
It'd be nice to see your face.
Let me turn it on. How does it turn on? I just turn. Okay. Hi.
Hi, welcome.
So, hi. So Yinka said 5 when she was 5. But when I remember when I was in grade school, my father worked in the like downtown, like in the business area.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to transfer schools from where we lived to another school downtown. Because he started work at 8 a.m. and I had to get dropped off like at 7:40, 7:30. And then I remember when I was going to that school in the poor neighborhood, there's one family who lived in that neighborhood, and she was my friend that I played Chinese jump rope with.
Mm-hmm.
And one day I'm sitting on the bench and she never comes. And then the next day I'm sitting at the same spot. Then her classmates come and say, "Are you waiting for Linda? She moved. She's not coming back." I said, "No. She tells me her secrets." And they're like, they were older. I don't know what grade I was. They were in the 4th or 5th grade. They took my hand to go play Chinese jump rope because they could not tell me she was murdered.
Oh my.
And that was when I realized, is this the neighborhood that my parents sent me to school? There's this other girl named Valentine. I didn't know she was homeless. I didn't know what homeless was. And I did not know her mother stripped. Like, not at a club, but on the street just to feed her daughter.
Mm.
Yeah. And then at that time I could not comprehend it. And I
Hear that
remember
loud and
just
clear.
being in that neighborhood. It traumatized me. And I think it's something I just shut off. And it's something I just carried with me through life. And when Yinka started speaking, it knocked on my door and said, "Hey, and you're trying to ignore it."
Well, this will be the worksheet tool from this work will be very useful for you. There are some videos where we've explained the Why Is This Happening to Me Again workshop and how we tend out of those unresolved patterns to create more of the same. So I think you'll find that tool will be very, very useful. And in the meantime, we'll definitely be holding the space to allow the energetic ramifications of those young experiences to come to full awareness and to be healed, to process through them. It's going to be powerful.
Thank you.
Holding the space for you.
Thank you.
And thanks for the courage to share it. It's powerful.
I think is that when one person shares, it opens the mind of another.
Breathing with you.
Now, can you think of a time you cut yourself off from love? What situation, people, or experiences do you use to cut yourself off from love? And if you're open to share, you're welcome to share in the chat or unmute. Well, raise your hand and or ask to share.
It's, what's occurring to me is the realization that one of the things that happens, we all start out the same. We all start out.
I don't know how to raise my hand on the phone, but can I share?
Sure, go ahead. Go ahead, Si.
So, going to school in that neighborhood, I made a friend. Really sweet. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're good. We got you.
I made a friend who went to piano lessons. We went to piano lessons together. And then one day, I went over to her house. I was in elementary school. Then her father molested me. Then when I told my parents, well, when I told the people who raised me, come to find out they were not my biological parents, they beat me. And so I guess since then, I've always I didn't have many boyfriends. I had 3. And the first one, when he gave signals of what that was in opposition to what I formulated in my brain love should be, I tried to leave him, but I couldn't leave him because I was like a jailbird to him. So the only way to leave him was slowly taking my stuff out from the house, having my cousin come pick me up, and never returning. The second relationship, when he did stuff that was in opposition to what I understood love should be, I addressed it to him because I wanted it to work. And he spoke to me as if he had no idea what I was talking about. So I left. And then the third relationship was when I addressed it to him. He's like, but this is who I am. I go, but you don't keep your promises, and it's not what we agreed upon. And so I ended the relationship. And I think because of what happened in my childhood with the people who raised me, I either have a genuine understanding of what love should be, or it's just all fantasy, and loyal and faithfulness and understanding is just a myth and it doesn't exist in this world.
Well, the tendency is, when we're born into the world, the state of being we're born into is that of love, and our minds function from love naturally. And when we come into experiences that we tie into energies that block the presence of love in us, we tend to get stuck in a mindset of thought disorders. And from there, life just becomes a snowball effect of, why is this happening to me again? Each thought disorder produces another experience, which produces another deeper thought disorder, another experience. And the idea of this work is to unravel those thought disorders, literally removing their impact from the structure, from the mind, from the emotions, and healing. So that's what we're here to do. And, if you are ready to move to a really deep level of dealing with some of that pretty traumatic stuff, then if you take a look, Yinka has well over a year of sessions that we've done like this, where we lay out the principles of forgiveness, and forgiveness not being the idea that I'm going to let you off the hook because this pain is inside of me, but rather, this is how I go in and find, this is how I open the veil of my own unconscious, find my thought disorders and clean them out, remove them. So forgiveness is removal. And so you might want to go back, if this is your first session, go right back to the first session that we did with Inca and go through. There's a worksheet that we present. We've done several sessions where we've walked somebody through the worksheet. We have an app that you can download on your phone. You can do the worksheet right there on your phone. And so there's lots of information for support and how to do the process. And then, every other week we're here, the second and fourth Thursdays of the month. We're here to bring support and have this conversation so we can answer questions. So I'm glad you're here. Ready to go for it. Awesome. Awesome. All right.
So would you say that the cutting off from love is the thing that also then recreates the old cycle?
Yes. The thing that cuts us off from love is we buy into these thought disorders. And then not knowing that how we create is through our thoughts, we end up cycling in those thought disorders. You remember in the worksheet we talk about David Bohm. We have a set of words, a definition for the words that David Bohm coined for that, living that way. And he called it sustained incoherence, that people don't understand that their problems come from the way they think, and they keep on thinking the same way and expecting to have a different result. And Bohm, as a physicist, called that sustained incoherence. It's an incoherent energy that doesn't support our human lives. We're looking to get to the point of removing all incoherent energies and getting back to thinking out of a mind connected to love, rather than out of a mind based in the world's hostility and fear. That's what we're here to do. And it's a process. Doesn't happen overnight. It is a process. Corey?
Yeah, thank you. So what Yinka said, and what I think I have also a little experience, but that is not meant that I have to love everybody or somebody who I don't know. I really don't like. That is not the how can I say? Yeah.
I'm going to make a suggestion that you never love anybody. Never do that. Big mistake to love people. And the reason I say that is because you can't love people. Love is not a verb. Love is not something we can do. Love is what we are. Again, if you've ever held a newborn child, that experience, we go back. Hold a newborn. Tap into the essence of the newborn. And having asked that question of tens of thousands of people over the years, and asking people to describe, to use words that describe that newborn, and the bottom line of everybody's experience is that of love. And then when I ask people, so now you're tapping into that newborn energy. Is the newborn loving you, or is the newborn love? And everybody says, of course, the newborn is love. So that's what we are. And we live in cultures that specialize in knocking the love out of us, the experience of ourselves as love. And then they send us out the door saying, go find somebody to love, or find somebody to love you. And it's a whole false journey that follows. So the work we're suggesting is, in each case where you've lost your awareness of yourself as love, that you do the work required to restore yourself to love. And when you are restored to love, your thought disorders will disappear. You'll automatically start to think and create as a creator, as you're designed to create. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. So the little story is, experience is, I'm working, I have a little buy job on the Christmas market for some hours. And there is a co-worker, and he really, how can I say, he cuts me off. He doesn't read me. It feels a little bit like, for me, that feels, but that is, I know, it's like mobbing. And I was then in that moment really, really angry and sad and all that. And after I made the Heartland work, and that changed a little bit. And but I was so much hurt. I felt so much hurt, and I needed longer to come back to my yes, let's say love, or my good, better feeling. And I noticed that I have that's not about him, that is not to use him, but to, yeah, I felt then much more relief when I felt, what can I say? Yeah, that I solved that anger and that against that person, and also that goal what I had, that he has to be kind and friendly and to me, what is not happening. But for myself, I feel now better. And yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes, you know, you'll have to, once you understand forgiveness, you'll end up forgiving, you know, 10 times a minute as the mind starts to spit out all of its thought disorders, all of its pain-based thinking. And you start to process through those things. And as you develop the skill in using the worksheet, you'll be able to move through those things more and more quickly all the time.
Mhm.
But that's the process.
Yeah.
I mean, you should. What we're inviting people to do, you know, in the world, the word conversion is generally thought of as a religious thing. You bring somebody into your religion. This work is about converting people, but it's got nothing to do with religion. It's about people who started out as love-based beings that were converted to hostility and fear-based beings. And we're looking to convert everybody back to our original state as beings where our thinking, our physiology is fueled by love instead of by hostility and fear.
Yeah.
You remember a statement in the ancient scriptures, do not be conformed to the world. If you're conformed to the world, do not be molded by the world, because if you're molded by the world, you'll end up moldy. And, you know, it takes significant work to change the dynamics of a lifetime of that hostility and fear-based world. And most people are introduced to that hostility and fear-based world oftentimes in the womb, and if not, within the first year or 2 or 3 or 4 of life. And so it's a major project to make that shift, but to recognize that what my goal is not to love you and not to love myself, but to return myself to the experience of myself as love. And then whatever's going on in my world, I bring that presence of love forward into the world.
Yeah.
And when I do that, I'll find there are other people who will tend to gather with me, and it transforms the whole of everything.
Mm.
So, cool.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, delighted. Go for it, Yinka.
So do not
Do not conform.
Each generation of children is seduced into giving up their experience of a world based on love. They exchange this for a world controlled through fear, anger, and manipulation. They are often taught that this trade-off is the only way to get things and be successful in the real world. The ancient Aramaic teaching warned us to be careful that we do not allow ourselves to be conformed to the world, to this world.
No, do not be molded by the world, or you'll end up moldy. It's how we kill ourselves.
I've noticed the battle of that within my mind of I want to fit in,
Yeah.
but that means I have to conform, but it doesn't feel right.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to march to a different drummer.
And it can be quite isolating sometimes.
It can. Yes. And there's another piece of writing that I do, and one of the lines in it is, it is a strange feeling, this walking alone, because there aren't many people who want to do that path. But once you know it's there to be done, it's like there's nothing else to do but that. And then you'll find over time that you'll attract more and more people who have that understanding and will say, yeah, let's go for it.
So often, if we allow ourselves to fall into the world's way, we cut ourselves off from love. It then feels like a void when we first attempt to return to the experience of love, as we do in this exercise. If you continue to practice over time, the experience of love will grow.
And as you do that practice, there'll come times, and I can think of 3 times in my life, in the 50 years of developing this work, when there was such a dramatic shift out of my normal state of, well, you're just living and you're experiencing life, into this absolutely mind-boggling, amazing, full-blown physiological experience of the presence of love. It's just like, and once you've tasted that, then nothing else will do. Like, once you know it's possible, and the only thing that robs us of that state, that's our natural state. The only thing that robs us of it is we've got a whole history of genetic thought disorders based in pain and fear and hostility. And those things run so continuously, are resonated so continuously by the world, that full-blown physiological experience of the presence of love just seems impossible. But once you taste it, then it'll become the pursuit of your life. Again, I love your graphics.
So once you feel love, imagine yourself intensifying it until it fills every cell in your body. The next step is to open your eyes and imagine extending that love out through your eyes to someone or to some situation in your world.
So there's an exercise we do that's called the love exchange. And I'm going to ask you to imagine that there's a partner there in the room with you. And at this moment, just close your eyes and tap into the deepest, clearest love that you can imagine. It might be the memory of holding a newborn child. That's where mine comes from. When I had the privilege of catching my daughter as she was being born, her head delivered out of the womb, she looked at me, crystal clear focus in my eyes. They say a child can't focus for days after they're born. Yes, they can. And she grinned at me. That's one of those experiences where I just had this such a deep, profound presence of love. It was just unbelievable. So whatever you've got that's close to that, or if you don't have an experience like that, take mine. Imagine you're catching this newborn. They open their eyes, they look at you and just grin at you. And the presence of love is so powerful, it's palpable. So take a moment, get quiet, and go to that space where you connect with that. Let yourself feel it physiologically throughout your body. It will change everything in your structure, including your chemistry. And then imagine that person you've been having challenges with. is right there in front of you when you open your eyes and you just allow that energy of love to extend from your face to their face. And just let yourself be with that. Perhaps the first time you get a chance to actually do this experience with someone in person. This is something we do in all of our intensives. And back about 20 years ago, we had a young girl that was probably 11 or 12. And we're doing this exercise. And, you know, the next step is to open your eyes and extend that energy to your partner. And what she did and shared with us was that she reached out and touched that other person's heart as she extended that presence of love. And she asked that other person to reach over and touch her heart. You can take the experience to a whole other level and let yourself just be in that. And sometimes we get so busy, can't even take time to get quiet and touch into the truth of who we are. The invitation of this work is to take time to touch into who you are. Make time. Now, the world will say, no, you got to, survival, no, you can't do it. You got to work. Take time. The benefits are enormous. So I'm extending that love to each of you right now. Can't see too many faces. If you want to turn your camera on, that might be nice. We can get a deeper touch into your vibration, your energy, and extending this energy to each other. Yeah. Thank you, Michelle. Glad you're here, Mario. Hi, Christine. Alexandra, welcome. Anyone else want to turn your camera on? Gabriella, you've been here on camera before. Come on, show us your sweet face. But just take a look into the eyes of each person that's looking back at you. Extend that energy. One of the things we know from a physics point of view, my background's electronics with a side study in physics. And one of the things we know is that there is nothing in the physical world that can stop the high energy wave that leaves the mind when we think a thought. Nothing. Time and space mean nothing to it. Now, it's like a radio wave. You got a radio wave, passes through the walls. The wall looks solid. How could the radio wave pass through it? There's no way that that energy is lost by passing through the wall because it's such a high frequency. There's no interaction. Well, the mind works on a level where there is nothing in the physical world that can stop it. So it doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter where I am. We can exchange that energy with each other. Mayella, you look like you're having fun. It's awesome.
I tried to connect my camera and for some reason my phone privacy had it off and I had to go to the settings and then they say, you've been over here for a while, you have to turn on your camera. And it disconnected immediately. I'm like, oh.
Well, you're here now. That's the important thing.
Good to see you.
Busy. I'm busy, okay? Give me 1 second. Yeah.
Sounds like a little one. What age is your little one?
She's 5.
Well, hi there. What's your name?
Let me put you on the speaker. I have the headphones.
Hi, they're saying hi to you. You want to say hi?
What's your name?
What's your name? Huh? What's your name?
Can you share your name with us? Well, you know what we're doing right now? We're sending you love, okay? Is that okay with you?
You want love? Yeah. You feel the love?
Go for it.
Thank you.
Right.
It's
I've been a while, but you know, I've gone through several breakthroughs, and the heaviest one is having to deal with divorce and separation of their dad, and it's feel like a battle from forever,
Your
and
voice is hard to
it's
understand.
coming
It sounds like your microphone's muffled.
up. Okay,
Your voice was
let me
clearer earlier, but it's muffled now.
I think it's the headphones.
Better there.
Yeah, let me just remove the headphones. Yeah, it's been hard. That's what it is. It's an empath and a narcissistic situation, and I'm just trying to get out of it in a healthier way. And it's been hard, very hard.
I hear you. So the information I always give to an empath or someone who says they're an empath is that the only thing you can feel is what's moving inside of your own field. When we think we're feeling somebody else's energy, what's really going on is we have the matching energy to what we say we're feeling in them. And what we're feeling is what's resonating in us in response to them. Once you realize that, then you've got a whole lot more control over what energies are running inside of you. And especially when you pick up the forgiveness tool and start getting rid of those energies. So we'll hold the space for that.
Yes, I will.
Cool.
It's been like a mind blowing at the same time, because it had kind of dug into kind of ancestral issues, probably that I was probably growing up in certain way that it made me match certain energies until I started working on myself and decided to love myself more than loving other people.
So I'm going to support you going beyond loving yourself and working into experiencing yourself as love. That the fact is you are the love. And when we're restored to that, nobody can take it away. What most people call love is actually approval. Oh, I love you as long as you're doing this, 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 and this. But if you stop, I'm going to stop loving you. No, you don't stop loving them. You stop approving them. You never loved them in the first place. So most people call approval love. When you get out of that fantasy and you realize that love is the experience of who you are as a human being, then nobody can take that away from you.
Just what you were saying about the newborn, it was just like that mind-blowing experience. It's for me to hear my daughter, my first daughter, crying for the first time was like that moment that, oh, my baby's here. That was it. That was all I needed, you know?
The presence of love, right?
Yeah.
So all you need to do is remember that's who you are.
And that's the thing, because over time we forget, isn't it? We forget.
It is most of the time, and we're running around and we forget. Yeah.
The whole message is the world is forget it. I can't control you if you have an independent mind and function as love. I can only control you if you think you're only good enough if you have my approval. And there we have this approval pretends to be love. And it's not.
Exactly.
Good breath. That's the kind that releases. That's the kind that
It's
releases.
sad on the brain and the heart at the same time.
Well, when you say that, what I hear is one of the things you're going to have to process through is your sadness. So that'll be one of the things you'll be about forgiving. Remember that, we live in a world where we say, you made me sad. Nobody's ever made you sad. Nobody's ever made you angry. You've never been angry with anyone ever in your life, but there's anger in there. And as long as there's anger in here, we can find a whole procession of people to put it on. But the truth is, the only reason we ever experience anger, sadness, fear, grief, whatever it is because that's the energy that's in us. And when we can take responsibility, then we can start to throw it out. And that's what the original idea in the Aramaic language of forgiveness was to throw those energetic patterns out of our structures, be finished with it. And sometimes it's difficult because they tend to be generational patterns. They didn't start with you. We all came by it honestly. We had a power person, who had a power person, who had a power person. Generation after generation, they've been doing this stuff.
And our
Except-
minds are addicted to those as well.
Yeah.
The mind brings those thoughts constantly, and you know that's gonna get you that bad feeling, and then you have to stop yourself and catch yourself and observe yourself, and it's just like going back to present and all is well. I'm okay. Take a deep breath and keep going.
Take a deep breath. That's a big piece of the puzzle. Yes.
Because what I've realised doing the worksheets is that when I'm like looking over at that person who did that, and it's like my mind was like, but he did it, he did that, and that's what's making me angry. What I'm realising, he's only stirring up the fact that every time he does that, I'm internally going, I'm not worthy. And that's the bit that hurts. That I'm
That's
telling
the part that needs to be forgiven.
You're
That's
not,
the thought disorder that needs to go.
yeah. He's just being there, doing what he's doing, and it reminds me of what I'm unconsciously doing with myself.
So if you spend time every day practicing with this love exchange, cultivate your relationship with yourself as love, and it gets easier and easier to go to that space. And, you know, I go back, it's probably about 30 years ago. We have a teaching center in the Ozarks in southern Missouri, and we do intensive workshops there. We had a group of about 50 people there doing a workshop. And there was one person that was really in a major piece of trauma. And we did some guidance, and this person went through a transformation that anybody was watching from the outside would say, wow, that was a miracle. And, you know, there were about 50 other people in the room, and nobody else got that shift. It was just this one person. And, you know, I'm in a learning phase, still in a learning phase, but I'm asking, what's the bottom line? What's behind this healing process? How does that happen? And what I was told, what I was shown in that particular event was it takes two things in order for healing to occur. One, active, present love has to be in the mind of the person who's going to experience the healing. Or someone in the space has to be holding to that mind of love. And then the second part of healing is something that's hidden in the mind has to come forward. When those two things meet, the lower energy, what's been hidden in the mind, disappears. That's forgiveness. And that's the bottom line of all healing. If love is conscious, active, and present, and you know, you look at the worksheet and how the worksheet works, and what it does is it collapses the perceptual mind, the constructs of the mind. And when those constructs collapse, they collapse in on themselves, and that's what gives you access to what lies underneath it. And when that comes up in the presence of love, it's dissolved. It's done like that fast.
Mm-hmm.
That's the bottom line of the worksheet. It took me 35 years to learn that. But that was the key.
I've actually been getting my well, she's 18 and she's been doing worksheets. I've been teaching her how to do the worksheets.
That's awesome.
Quite a big eye opener for her, because it was like, oh no, but I'm just depressed. And it's like, well, should we just sit down and have a go? And if I just show you how to do this worksheet, and you can just take it away, and if you want to carry on doing it. But it really opened her eyes to see that the thing that she was saying that was the problem wasn't actually the problem. It was nowhere near the problem.
Yep. Well, you know, we live in a world that has become so jaded that just because of the flow of energy in the culture, most everybody by the age of 4 is a very devoutly religious person, and they are card-carrying members in the one world universal religion of blame. It's all everybody else's fault. You will never heal as long as you are a member of that religion, because the only thing that can cause you pain is what you're hiding from yourself in your own mind. And the way we hide it from ourselves is we put it into our brain's image of someone else, and we think it's their problem. You know, if you haven't read my book, go to the website. You can download the book free. There's the essence of the problem. Why is this happening to me again? Because it's inside of me. But my mind can falsify it and make it look like it's outside of me. if we're outside of you, one of the things we worked with a lot is A Course in Miracles. There's a great line in The Course in Miracles that says, if the problem was outside of you, you would really be in trouble. Fortunately, it's inside of you. And when you find it, you can throw it out. As long as you remember that one word religion of blame, you will never find it in yourself, because blame is the very thing that keeps it hidden. Until you take responsibility, it doesn't change.
And one thing I really like about the worksheets, that if someone gave you the information, you just listen and go, oh, whatever. Like if they told you the answer of your problem, but the worksheet allows you to see it within yourself.
Discover it for yourself.
Which was very powerful, watching my daughter see it in herself as well. It's not mum's telling me what to do or this is that.
Right.
She's able to see that she can't deny it, because I've felt that feeling where you think, oh, I don't want to see that.
We do a radio show every day, and the first hour, it's a 2-hour show the last 4 or 5 years. There's a psychologist named Dr. Tim Hayes who started to do this work, my work, about 20 or so years ago. And on more than one occasion, he shared that as a clinical psychologist, and he'd been in practice for 40 years, he would, there'd be this psychologist who was this great famous psychologist, and all the psychologists would flock to their workshops to learn how they did what they did. And he said, I went to workshop after workshop after workshop like that. And I and the other people that went could not reproduce the results that this great psychologist produced. But he said, I can hand this worksheet to anybody, and if they'll do it, they can produce the same results I can. Just like that. It's that simple, that straightforward, that reliable. Now, it takes some practice, but if you use it, you're not going to know you're living in the same world a year from now. So shall we go with the next slide?
Yeah.
Cool graphic.
Yeah. Another step to unfold yourself in that love, and when possible, look in the mirror as you do. Invest some time in this exercise, and as soon as you will find conscious, active, present love will become a part of your vocabulary and your life.
And you can do the same thing of reaching out and putting your hand on your own heart in the mirror when you do that in the mirror.
So when I first called you, Michael, I was on my way out west to start a new life. Now I wonder, a simpler solution might not be to just move on. After all, if there is no one to trigger the pain, life is fine, Richard said with surprise.
Right. Yeah, there's a major fallacy that if I can just keep my pain hidden, then everything's going to be okay. But here's the problem. Let's use an example. Let's imagine that newsrooms with their computers. Let's imagine that every news story that's put into the computer impacts the function of the computer. Like negative, destructive news stories creates negative, destructive action on the hard drive in the computer. Positive, uplifting stories will bring healing or strength to the computer. What do you suppose? How long do you suppose the average computer would last in today's newsroom in the world today? Like crash, crash, crash. There's so much negativity. Well, that's a good analogy for how we work. If we carry around rage and guilt and grief and blame and sadness and hatred and vengeance, it has its first impact on the structure it's stored in. I forget who it was that said, hatred does more damage to the vessel in which it is stored than to the person upon whom it is poured. And so the idea here is to own and remove all of those energetic patterns. And chances are, if you have any of those energies, you can buy them honestly. They are generational patterns. And we're looking to support people in undoing those generational patterns. Here's a set of tools. They work.
For many people, the geographic cure is an option, but it is only a temporary solution. The problem with the geographic cure is that we take ourselves and our whole reality structure with us and attract similar situations as a result. Running away does not work because the painful reality is carried within the person running.
One of my favorite tongue-in-cheek lines is, if you've been through that painful reality 87 different times with 42 different people, sooner or later you got to start to notice that you're the only one that was there every time. It's about you. Time to take ownership.
And the only permanent solution is to understand and heal what is the root of the reality structure causing the pain. And I know you've done it on your radio show with the Michael Singer, where if you've got a phone, everything you touch, even if it comes from a place of love and you're touching something that's coming at you with love, you aren't going to feel pain until you take out the phone.
Yep. Good example. Even though the body builds a core around it, sooner or later you have to face it and take it out of the tissue structure. And the mind functions through every cell in the body. People tend to think the mind is just 3 pounds between our ears. No, the mind functions in every cell in the body. And the quality of information held in every cell determines the function and quality and longevity of that cell. All death is suicide. We do it to ourselves. And it's such a habit that most people think 100 years is a long life.
So holding a space of love while the underlying reality surfaces is how we heal. So let us practice the experience of love growing. Hold a space of love, close your eyes and allow yourself to become quiet. With your awareness focused inside, think of that which inspires in you the clearest, strongest, most powerful love you are capable of feeling. Once you feel love, imagine yourself intensifying it until it fills every cell of your body. The next step is to open your eyes and imagine extending that love out through your eyes, sending it to someone on the Zoom call. Now, take the screen off. Now unfold yourself in that love and if possible, turn on your cameras, look at you, invest some time in this exercise and soon you will find conscious, active, present love will become a part of your vocabulary and your life. So we'll do that again where we did it with Michael before. So if you're willing to, and able to put your cameras on and just holding that space of presence love.
Hey there, Gabriella. Good to see you. This lady did such an awesome worksheet. You got to go back and watch that worksheet.
First time. So, yeah, but I'm here. Thank you. Thank you.
What was that, about 6 weeks ago, 7 weeks ago, you did that worksheet?
Yes, it was. It was, yeah.
How's it unfolded in your life?
It's going all well, but there are still some stuff to actually come up to the surface, and it's constant work and reminder.
It's what it takes.
It is, definitely. But thank you very much for your time, and thank you for helping me. Thank you.
Delighted. Delighted. Come on, those who are shy. Gina, come on. We know you've got a camera. Turn it on.
I would rather not turn it on. Thank you.
You're going to deprive us of your sweet face?
Yes.
Okay, I'll cancel. Okay, I'll cancel my goal. This can be a really powerful practice to do first thing in the morning before you get out of bed. Or if you wake up and you got to pee, go back to bed and just be in the space and cultivate that presence of love in you. Cultivate and build your relationship with yourself as love. It's interesting, in the Aramaic language, you are your own neighbor. You know, there's this, the mental picture we hold of ourselves is not who we are. It's a false self. And that false self is neighbor to the true self. And when you spend time, you integrate deeper and deeper levels of this presence of love, and it changes everything.
May I ask something?
Please.
Thank you. Oh, how do you remember the love?
You know, for me, it's not a matter of remembering it. It's a matter of tapping into it. It's always there. It's never disappeared. It's just that an accumulation of thought disorders and the feelings that those thought disorders create have taken over our awareness. It's like filled the screen of awareness. The love's always there. The state of being is always there. The trick is to collapse the false self, to collapse the mental picture of yourself that's based in these thought disorders. And as you do that, start one by one to forgive those thought disorders, to get rid of them, to dump them, and get back to the state of functioning out of the truth of who you are. Again, a powerful reminder to me, go back to the moment where you held a newborn child. That's always present with you. It's never left. Can you feel the shift of energy in your body right now? I mean, just tap in and feel what's happening in your feet. What's happening in your legs? Do you feel a shift in energy? I sure can. I mean, especially in my feet. I can just feel this energy coursing through my feet that wasn't there 5 minutes ago.
I can feel it in my hands. I feel like they're on fire.
Oh.
They're really hot.
Sweet. Thank you.
My commitment. So this is the end in written in the end of the Why Is This Happening to Me Again? And you can also find it on Michael's web as well.
It's on the website, whyagain.org.
There's a few different ones in there of my commitment. So this one is, I promise to trust myself enough to be willing to hear and speak the truth and treat myself lovingly. Gently and with respect, I will do this in my thoughts, words, and actions all the time. In every interaction, I will look for and acknowledge the highest and best in myself as I surrender to love, my true nature, staying connected to my source. Love and nurturing that relationship is more important than any issue. If anything unlike love comes up, I will go to that quiet place within where love dwells. I'll listen to, welcome, and accept love's guidance. I'll be teachable as I ask to be inclined towards healing and shown how to keep communication open in all relationships. I'm willing to be responsible for my own realities and learn to keep love conscious, active and present as I heal and celebrate life.
So there's a set of thoughts with which to correct the thought disorders you have about yourself. This is the first person where you're doing this with yourself in the mirror. And then if you go to the website, there's my commitment for working within your relationships. There's a copy for working within a business relationship. So this is a format for integrating new thoughts and getting rid of the thought disorders that create trauma in your life. And so we have a space for questions if anyone has any questions.
If anyone's in the WhatsApp, I will put that in the WhatsApp as well so you can read over that again.
Cool. Well, this was a short chapter, a relatively short session. Again, if there are any questions, we've got space to answer them. If we're complete, then we're complete. So I'm going to thank you all for joining us in 2 weeks, Thursday again, 3:30 Eastern time.
It'll be January because in 2 weeks it's Christmas.
It's Christmas, right? That's okay. We're going to have another longer space.
Yeah, I've got it on the slide. What time? Oh, we've got
so
Gina.
Be the second Thursday in January and the fourth Thursday in January.
Yeah, so it's the 14th of January.
Okay.
And it's
all right.
Off the mark, chapter 30.
All right. Well, thank you all for joining us.
I have a question as well.
Go for it, Gina.
Yeah, I'm becoming much more conscious of my thoughts.
Good work.
Thank you. And when I'm off on a tangent of negative thoughts, like I was earlier, yes, I do have to do a worksheet around the reason why. But I became aware.
Whoa. Let me just throw in one thought there. Most people, when they would say something like, I have to do a worksheet around the reason why, like the thing out there that's why I'm doing this in here. Remember that the why is always because that's what I'm doing in here.
Okay.
I'm not doing the work. I mean, the outline of the worksheet is the thing I'm projecting it on, but ultimately what I'm looking to is get back inside to where the real problem is.
Well, what I've taken to doing is when I become aware of negative thoughts, I just reject them. And I want you to know your take on that.
Well, there's a thing that has been called a spiritual bypass. Oh, I have this negative thought. I'm going to just think positive. No, this is not about the disease of premature positive thinking. What I want to do, if I've got negative thoughts, is I want to recognize them, I want to confront them, and I want to work through them so I'm finished with them. I don't want to just put a layer of almond butter on top of them so I can cover it up and hide it. I want to come face to face with it. I want to look it square in the eye and say, I'm changing this thought. If I hide it, I can't change it. And if I can't change it, then it still lies somewhere in tissue creating it lies somewhere in tissue creating a disorder in tissue. It, when activated, resonates and creates painful feelings. And it, as an energy, the fact that it's moving in me will tend to resonate or attract somebody in to play it out with me. So there are a lot of good reasons to say no, instead of just, well, I'm just going to cover my negative thoughts up with positive thoughts. I'm going to pick up the worksheet. I'm going to work through the negative thoughts. So I'm finished with this. I don't have to keep inviting people in to do it to me again and again and again. Because on a silent level, remember again, there's nothing we know of that can stop the high energy wave that leaves the mind when we think a thought. Nothing. And so if I hold that negative thought, by definition, the fact you can remember something means it's an energy. By definition, energy is motion, and everything that's in motion sets up a wave that will pull somebody in. So that would be my feedback on that.
But it definitely helps, I think, in the moment, because we are a product of our thoughts, right? Whatever we're thinking will cause an emotion.
That's it.
So that's why I just reject certain thoughts. Like tonight, I was angry with somebody for no reason. Well, yeah, for no reason, actually, really.
There is a reason, Gina. There is a reason, because you have unresolved anger in your mind.
I have.
And you can put it into your brain's image of anybody. And just saying, okay, I'm going to reject that doesn't heal it. You want to do the healing work around it.
No, I wasn't rejecting the anger. I was rejecting the trajectory my thoughts were taking me on.
Yeah. Good.
I'm fully aware of the anger in me, Michael, and I know, and I'm choosing to address that anyway.
Awesome. You know you've got our support.
Thank you.
All right. Alexandra.
Thank you. I
Hey,
just
welcome.
wanted to ask. Thank you. You said that you're having a steel point session breathing tomorrow.
Yes. Tomorrow and
I was
Sunday, actually.
I was wondering how I could join it.
Okay. It's a monthly club that we have, and you can do just one session. You can register for 3 sessions, or there's an annual membership. So it's one of the workshops we do that has a fee base to it. So it actually starts at 11 o'clock Eastern time on Saturday and Sunday, both days, which I think in England is 5 hours later. So it'd be around 4 o'clock. And so there are the 2 sessions. And if you want to register for one, you'll get a video. Actually, you'll get 2 videos on using the mind shifters and still point breathing process. We would invite you to do some writing and on the mind shifter, and would send you a video to show you how to do it once you register. And the registration for a single session is $150. If you register for 3 sessions, it's $125 per session, so it's $375. Or you do the whole year, and it's $900 for the year. If you want to do one session and try it out, see if it is for you, you can do that. And if you decide to do more, then we just prorate that first session. So the reduced price applies to that one, whatever number of sessions you do. So if you're interested in doing that, you could drop my wife an email, and she'll respond to you with how to handle it. And her email is JEANIE, Jeannie, at WHYagain.org. Jeannie at whyagain.org. So if you want to join us, you can do that.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
And I highly recommend, as I do attend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Can I also have a question?
Yes.
It is the one is what you told about the feelings, let's say hostility. And when I feel it, I know exactly I feel it. Then comes another feeling who says, I do not want that feeling.
So remember that feelings are shadows of thoughts.
Yeah.
So if you never change the thought behind the feeling, then the feeling's going to continue.
Yeah.
So the forgiveness process is about recognizing, acknowledging the feeling, and then looking at what's the thought I think in order to feel this way.
Mm-hmm.
And then to apply forgiveness in that arena to remove that thought disorder. Then that feeling will disappear. And most of us have got generations and generations and generations of old feelings. You know, if you go back, there's a metaphor, a story about that in the Old Testament, about this group of people who they say ended up wandering in the desert for 40 years. And most people think that was a story about them lost in this hot, sandy place. It's about a 35 square mile area, being lost there for 40 years, which is pretty ridiculous. It wasn't about a hot, sandy place. It wasn't about a 35 square mile patch of land they were lost on. That word desert there is a code word for the unconscious. And most people wander unconsciously, stuck in their thought disorders, blaming everybody else with no idea that it's about the content of their own minds. And then if you read that story, what did they have to do to get out of the desert? What they said is the old generation had to die off. That didn't mean that everybody in old physical bodies had to physically die. The root of the word generation is genare. It means cause. All of the causes from the generational patterns have to be removed. Otherwise, those things will keep driving our feelings, our emotions, and driving our perceptions. Each time you forgive, you collapse that, you get another chance to go in and change it.
Mm-hmm. I understand. And what is, yeah, let's say I had some negative experiences and I go to sleep, and in the morning I wake up and the memory comes of the old experience.
That's a good place to do a worksheet. There's where I'd be dragging out a worksheet, doing a worksheet on that experience and what the dream told you about it. Record some of the things that were going on, get a nice book that you use to record your dreams, and they'll be informing you of some very powerful things. And they're an invitation to go in and do your work.
Mm-hmm.
I was sharing with Jeannie this morning that I had last night in particular, I had just several fragments of dreams that I had no recall of, but I knew it was inviting me into another level of doing some work that I need to do personally for me. And that's just part of the process. It's a good clue as to some of the things you need to look at, do worksheets around.
Yeah. But you know, in the first, when I open my eyes, and in that moment, I'm still laying then in my bed. So do you say that I do that then a little bit later?
No, I'd be doing it as well as fresh. You know, I actually keep a dream journal beside my bed. And when I have important dreams that I need to remember, I write them in my journal.
Yeah. Yeah, but the experience what I had is not from the dream. That is a experience on the day, and that comes again very early in when I open my eyes, and I'm aware, and I really do not want to think about that. And
well, but watch what's happening. I go to sleep. What happens? The barrier that I built. Remember, we started out talking about the veil of the temple must be rent in twain. The veil is this barrier that we built. I don't want to look in there. Stop it. I go to sleep, and the barrier kind of opens, and those things start to sneak up. I don't want to look. Sooner or later, you got to look. You got to deal with it. You can't keep just shutting it. No, I don't want to look. I don't want to look. That's what kills us. Sooner or later, you got to start saying, okay, I'm willing. Okay. It's early in the morning. I'm starting to see those things. I have a stack of worksheets beside the bed. I'm going to start doing the work to clean it up. You're acknowledging you're being shown, and then you're cutting yourself off from it. I'd invite you to step into willingness and just go for it.
Yeah.
You know, if you're getting the guidance as to what you need to do, that's the place to go for it.
Yeah.
That'd be my.
I'm very willing to do that, and I do.
Well, that's not. Listen to yourself, Corey. That's not what you said a minute ago. A minute ago, you said it's there, and I don't want to deal with it, or words to that effect.
Yeah, but
So,
that,
so don't kid yourself that you're as willing as you're saying. It's easy to say that, but when you weren't censoring yourself, what I heard you say, and maybe I'm mistaken, what I heard you say is there, it's there, and I don't want it.
yeah, but that is only the other. That is two parts in me, and the one part knows exactly that it wants to deal with it,
Yeah.
and the other one is fighting against.
Right.
I am very conscious about both parts, and I want to heal that, and
have
I
you heard
really want to cover that.
Yeah. Have you heard the Native American story about the black dog and the white dog? Well, there's a young boy young Native American boy, and he goes to his father and he says, or his grandfather, and he said, "Grandfather, I find that I have two dogs in me and they're fighting. There's a white dog and there's a black dog. Which dog is going to win?" And the grandfather said, "The one you feed."
Yeah.
So start feeding the part that's willing. Pick up, if you're asleep and you're aware of those things in the morning, on your bedstand, have a pen, have a small light, maybe even a headlight. If it's dark, have a headlight and and the worksheets. You get that insight, I'm willing, go for it. Start writing. Work with it while it's on the surface of your mind. That's the best time to get it.
Mm. Yeah.
So holding a space for you to go for it.
Thank you.
All right.
We've got Michelle. Let's just raise hand.
Hi there.
Hey, Michelle,
thank you.
welcome.
Hi. Thank you so much for everything. This was a great session. I had to jump on and off a little bit, but so the workshop
you're here.
that you have, thanks. The workshop you have, do you do I've never done a worksheet. I've just been kind of coming on and listening along, and today was really powerful for me. So
Awesome.
do you go over the worksheets on your is that what your workshop is?
There are sessions on our website, and we do a radio show 5 days a week. And in the archives of our radio show, there are at least 20 different 1-hour radio shows where we've walked somebody through the whole worksheet process. I don't remember exactly how many we've done, Yinka, maybe 4 or 5 since we started, where there are videos where we've walked somebody through the whole worksheet. So that's there as a tutorial support for doing that.
Yeah.
There's a whole range of tools that I teach. The worksheet is the key one. 2 of the other tools are mind shifters and still point breathing. That's what we'll be doing tomorrow and Sunday. So the focal point of that is a community of people to come together once a month to work on a mind shifter. And a mind shifter is a written tool we use to help people to surface things they've been hiding from themselves. And then we step into actually doing the still point breathing process on the Zoom call.
Okay. Because I love the whole idea with the worksheet, but I don't know if I know how to, like, I understand everything you're saying, and I know I have things that I need to look at, but I don't know what they are. Like, I know I have the anxiety and
you don't have to know.
No,
that's the beauty of the process. You don't have to know.
I'm like, I understand the whole thing. I just don't know how to get there.
Yeah. Well, you might want to notice how you kid yourself by saying, I understand it, but I don't know how to do it. If you understood it, you'd be doing it. Okay, yeah. So notice you kid yourself. Right? Is that an old pattern for you?
I guess.
I understand everything you're saying, but I don't know how to do it. Well, so what I'd suggest, you might want to go to your app store on your phone, type in the words Heartland Aramaic Forgiveness, Heartland, one word, HEARTLAND,
okay.
Aramaic Forgiveness, and download the app.
Heartland Forgiveness?
Heartland Aramaic, ARAMIC, Aramaic Forgiveness. Download the app. There are 2 different versions of the worksheet. You start working on it right there. There's also a children's game called the Dragon Klingon game. And then Yinka on her site has several occasions where we've walked through, and that means we've answered lots of questions about the worksheet. So that's there as support. Our radio show is there 5 days a week. You can call into the show from 1 till 2 o'clock Eastern time. And the call-in number is 563-999-3581 if you've got access to a phone in the US. 563-999-3581. 5 days a week, actually 2 hours a day. The first hour from noon to 1 o'clock is Dr. Tim Hayes, clinical psychologist, and the second hour is myself and my wife, Jeannie. So you can call in and ask questions from within the app. Every page on the app has a place where you know, gee, I'm on step 3 and I don't understand. Write your question, hit send, and Jeannie will get the question. We'll read it on the radio show. We'll answer the question, and then she'll send you back a link to the show so you can listen to your answer if you can't be on the show directly personally.
Oh, okay.
So every way we can support you, it's
And
there.
how do I listen? How do I listen to the show? I'm in New Jersey, so I'm
Oh, okay. So most people have unlimited long distance. So they just call that number. If you call that number,
Oh.
you're listening to the show.
Oh,
And then
okay.
if you have a question, just push 1 on your dial pad. That'll raise a hand in the control panel. Jeannie will introduce you by your area code, and you and I will be having a conversation.
Oh, okay. I understand. Oh, that's great. I'm gonna definitely do that.
Cool. Awesome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And deserving. Alexandra?
Did you raise your hand?
Maybe oh, maybe not. Okay. Excuse me.
Are you muted,
there
Alexandra?
was-
It's
All
under-
right.
She's muted. You have to
Okay.
unmute.
All right.
I'm sorry, I didn't raise my hand.
All right, okay.
Okay. My mistake.
So what I'm going to do is just leave some music to play it out with. And thank you,
Right.
Michael. As always, it's been amazing and a great one.
Honored and delighted.
Can I just
Thank you.
jump in quickly before you go?
Go for it, Gina.
Yeah.
Gina, who
okay.
won't show us her sweet face.
I always go for
But
it.
I'll do a worksheet on that.
I've forgotten what it does. This sounds like, actually it's a question for you, Yinka, and I think I've asked you it before. But okay, I'm going to ask, can you sort out, say, the issue of anger in 1 breath point session? 2, Yinka, how have you found it? Are you healing issues 1 by 1, or are you having a massive healing? And 3, is it painful?
So I don't choose what I'm going to heal in a sense of when I go into it, often I don't know what it's going to stir up.
That's not an
especially-
intellectual process.
Yeah. And it's not something that I can logically feel like you've got to be able to experience it. It's like when I was saying like about doing the worksheet. Someone telling you it isn't the same as feeling it within yourself. It's very different. And I could explain it over and over again and try and find many different ways, but until you experience it within yourself, there's no words that can express it. The closest words I have to the experience of the still point breathing is in that moment when I was in hospital, and as you know that I went through the death experience, that moment of connection that I had there. And when I really go into the still point breathing, that's the similarity of that. That's the only way that I can say that's what it felt like. It was going back home to myself.
That's what the still point does. It opens that space.
Mhm. But the mind shifters are the ones that really stir up the day. Some of them, I don't even think that it's going to do anything, and then it stirs up some real. It's even to the point where I've really felt a lot of anger towards Michael that I don't even want to speak to him.
You had to do worksheets on me? No,
You mean anger at Michael? Come
Yeah.
on.
I've never had anybody that said do worksheets on me.
And there's one that was really powerful on the what they called not the affirmations. My brain's just
The
gone.
mind shifter, you mean?
The mind shifter.
Yeah.
That I felt so angry, like, why is he giving this to me? But it really did, and still is stirring stuff within me.
Mm. You see, I do a lot of work, and I'm sort of quite stable at the moment.
Nice.
And I don't, yeah, that's nice, isn't it? And I don't really want to make myself unstable by piling too much on me, but I would love to do one of your sessions.
Mhm.
I don't want to stir anything up.
But what I would say to that, because what I've noticed, especially with people who are into law of attraction, which, you know, I teach that as well and enjoy that, that when we're in a good space, we don't want to touch anything.
Yeah.
We just want to stay in this good place.
Mhm.
Then you actually, that's sometimes the best place to do it because you're in a good mindset place. What I've noticed is that we would either go into it until I've hit rock bottom, or I'm going down that slippery slope and life's hit me with this curveball. So like, right, now I'm going to get on it and now I'll do a worksheet. Maybe it's good to do it when it's not, when life's not stirring up. So you're in a good mental space to actually address it.
Do you know why sales is the highest paid profession in the world?
Why?
Because most people do what people who avoid doing their work do. Oh, I'm feeling great. I don't want to do this. This is the salesman who they've got a month quota and they're so hot on the third day they've met their quota. And so they stop working and they go play for the rest of the month. And then the next month they're in the pit and they're out there working their buns off trying to sell from the pit. And they're no good at selling when they're in the pit. Don't wait till you're at the bottom of the barrel to say, okay, now I'm going to start to do my work, because that's the hardest place to work from. Do it when you're at the top and you're in there and you can process through things so much faster and get such monumental results. Don't wait till life kicks you right square in the butt to do your work. Do it while you're feeling good. That's when you can, like the salesperson, you know, the person who's a really good salesperson, you know, they are on a roll. It's the third day of the month. They've already met their monthly quota. And you know what they do on the fourth day? They work their butts off. And the fifth day and the sixth day and the seventh day and the 28th day and the 29th day, they work their butts off because they realize they're at the top. And then the next month on the first, when they're in the pits, they go, I'm going to back off. I'm going to go just relax until I get back on top. They don't try to work their way through from the pit.
Yeah.
Do your work when you're at your best, at your highest, at your, you know, most powerful vitality. And you'll be highly paid.
However, it brings up stuff, right? As you say, you know, expect to go through all the emotions and all the symptoms of healing.
Yep,
however they went in, expect to go through them again.
It's got to come out. Yeah.
And it's probably because you've got a bad habit of waiting until you hit the pit to doing it. So now that I'm feeling good, I don't want to touch anything.
Yeah.
And then it's that cycle again. I'll hit the pit and then do something.
Yeah.
No, it's not that. It's just that I feel, well, I do a lot.
Good.
And
awesome.
You know,
maybe time to go to the next level.
Yeah, I want to be.
Do you have a thought for us?
Before you go, when are you coming back
with
here?
a hand first.
Well, I just want to know, when is your next still point breathing? When are you coming back? And will you be having one that weekend, please?
When we do it the third weekend of every month. So it's a monthly thing that we do. And as I say, you can register for 1, for 3, or for a full year.
Yeah, because I know how effective the worksheets are, you know.
Yeah. Well, the breath, you know, the worksheet's the most important tool that we teach, and the still point breathing is right there next to it.
Yeah.
It's on par. Out of 30 some odd different tools we teach, they're the 2 most important ones.
Maybe January.
Yeah.
Maybe. I'm not completely dismissing the idea, not by any means.
Right. Well, drop Jeannie a note, JEANIE @whyagain.org, and let her know what you want to do, and we'll get it set up.
Thank you.
When and if it's time. All right. Blessings.
We had Shams, if you want to
Shams?
Hi, Yinka.
Yeah.
Thank you. And Michael, always a fabulous lesson. The lady before was talking about don't want to be stirred. And I think that that's the definition of life. We need to be stirred. And the idea that we resist life is what gets us in the absence of flow. So the concept that I should be happy, I should be calm, is what gets us in trouble, because the growth is in the tight squeeze, is in the stirring, is in the challenge, isn't it? So
That's it.
we have this expectation, and this is what stumps us. Stirring is what is needed. Stirring is the definition of life. And also, Michael, when we look at the times that we're living in right now, we don't have to go very far. We just have to think about the idea that, for example, when we look at our own life, our own self-centered life, really our own self and the center of our life, self-centered life, we are really blessed. And when we think about depression, I have been looking at some of the news clips and been thinking, oh my God, this is squeezing me. But then I hear from Palestinians themselves who keeps reminding us, praise be to source, praise be to source, praise be. And it brings us right back to the people that are getting genocide, attack, whatever, all those words are the ones reminding us, praise be to source. So really, this is not happening out there. It's happening in our universe. It's happening right here, right now. Exactly. So this is to move our story, to understand where we fit in the universe. Thank you, Michael.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a story that I wrote about, the fellow who's got a cup of coffee and somebody bumps his arm and he gets enraged at this person for spilling his coffee. It's like, wait a minute. That guy didn't spill your coffee. That guy bumped your arm. The only reason coffee got poured all over everything is because it was coffee in the cup. If you had your arm bumped and it was orange juice, you'd have been spilling orange juice. If it had been water, you'd been spilling water. If it had been gold, you'd been spilling gold. When life squeezes you, what comes out is what needs to come out. Are you going to deal with it? And my offering is that life abhors death. And so life is going to keep coming and coming and coming and knocking on your door to show you what you're holding on to. The purpose of life is to kick us right square in the limitation. When I willingly open that door and do the work I need to do, then life doesn't have to come kick me. But if I'm not willing, life's going to come with a tap on the shoulder, going to come with a little shove, going to come with a push, then it's coming with a 2x4. And, sooner or later we step into willingness. That'd be my take. So thank you for that, Shams. I'm with you 100%. Praise be to source. And whatever name one uses, to Allah, Creator. Yeah. Corey?
Yes, I'm searching about your courses, the still point breathing and the mind shift.
If you go to whyagain.org.
Yeah, I am.
Website.
I am there.
Okay. And look, and up at the top, there's events link or calendar. I forget exactly what it says, but it's listed there. And or again, if you want to just send Jeannie an email, JEANIE@WHYagain.org. She'll send it back to you. And if you're thinking you might want to participate in this weekend, you want to do it now because there's going to be a writing assignment. You want to have at least 2 hours to do some writing on a mind shifter. And so we'll get that off to you right away if you write to her, if you want to join us.
I have put it all in the chat. I put an email in the chat and it's got all the details.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Awesome. There are 2 courses, right? The mind shifter and the still point.
Mind shifters and still point breathing. It's a club that meets once a month, and You're assigned a mind shifter. We invite you to do the writing on the mind shift. That's what I'm saying. Before we start it at 11 o'clock Eastern time tomorrow, you're going to want to have written on your mind shifter for at least 2 hours. And then we'll open the day with a conversation about what's come up, what's happening for everybody, what was your mind shifter, what did it bring up for you. Then we'll go into the still point breathing process. We'll complete that, leave you with another mind shifter to work on, and then tomorrow or Sunday we'll meet again at 11 a.m. Eastern time. Again, it's I think 5 o'clock your time or 4 o'clock your time, and we'll go into, so now where's everybody at, what support do you need, and what's happening. So that's how it goes. So it's mind shifters and still point breathing is the topic of the whole weekend.
Okay, but it is one. That is one course. This is not two.
No,
Correct.
one course that you do together, yeah.
Okay.
They're tools that go hand in hand. You write the mind shifter before we start on Saturday. So that, and the idea is to stir things up. You know, Shams, you talked about stirring. There's a story I like to tell, you know, back in the I guess it was the 80s here in the States, I imagine there too, but the price of sugar just went through the roof. It just went crazy. And the stories about this little guy's got a little coffee shop. He's almost broke, you know, he's just losing his shirt. And a customer comes in and orders coffee. So he pours the guy's coffee and pushes the sugar over to him. And the customer takes a spoon, puts a spoon of sugar in his coffee, another spoon of sugar, another spoon of sugar, another spoon. And this guy can just see his profits going down the drain like he's ready to go bust. So he reaches over, he grabs a sugar bowl, pulls it away. He says, "Did I make your coffee too sweet, mister?" Guy says, "Hell no, not if you don't stir it." You got to be stirred if you're going to do your work. Otherwise, you'll spend your life hiding from yourself. You know, people who hide from themselves love alcohol, they love drugs, they love tobacco, they love junk food. They don't even know that food has to be grown in soil. They think if you grow it in dirt, you get food. And there are all kinds of ways to avoid and keep the system shut down. What we're looking to do is give people the tools to take the load off so they can be vitalized and really truly live as human beings are designed to live. So that's the idea of the tools. Michelle?
Hey there. I was just curious, do you work with people individually or just in the workshop? Yes. Oh, you do?
Yep. Now, again, if you drop Jeannie an email and ask her, she'll forward it to me, and I'll be in communication if you want to do that. Jeannie also works with people privately.
Oh, okay. That's good to know.
She does. She does a workshop called Women Healing Women, and is actually working on a book on healing generations, one breath at a time. And so she does really powerful work with women, especially.
Okay, that's awesome. Where are you located?
We're in Bristol, Virginia.
Oh,
about
okay.
2 hours east of Knoxville.
Oh, okay. Probably about 8 hours from me. Okay, great. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you for everyone for joining us. Have a blessed weekend, and we'll see you wonderful holy days, whichever holy days you celebrate coming up, and the best year yet of your eternal lives. Blessings. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
You also.